We are back in the crypto market. The market is slowly trying to slow down from that downside momentum, and XRP is starting to move up. Compared to a lot of other big cap coins, XRP is moving. So a lot of people start to think like, okay, this is the main reason. Now that can still be one of it, but it's not the only one thing. We have seen the move of price to the upside as we get close to Ripple's swell event. Now, is that it? No, it's not. Because yes, swell event is starting in 2 days from November 16th to 17th, but at the same time, you also get this. The judge just granted all these guys to come in and file their amicus brief within November 18th. So that's until November 18th, and you have 16 and 17 Ripple swell. So it's like 3 days. By the time they all submit that, we'll actually be able to see what they are talking about in that briefs. And it's again going to be bullish. So next 3-4 days can be really attractive for XRP. Now that's fundamental. But when you come onto the price technicals and start looking at the pattern which we are observing right now, we actually thought like, okay, we may actually start dropping here, making a new low before we go back up. But we also talked about a possibility that XRP can bounce here. If you go back in history, this is a scenario where we have done that. We did this capitulation, we bounced, and then we came back to retest that bottom, which made it look like an accumulation as it did the reaccumulation phase here before it started the markup. So what are the possibilities of the market doing the same? We're going to discuss through that. But before that, look at Ether. It's slow. It's not reacting much to the market. Bitcoin, it's there. It's not reacting much. But especially for Ether, if you come look at this one, I'm like, okay, this does not look really good. 3,000 Ether being dropped into the market. So maybe they think like the price is going to drop further. No one knows. But if you take the possibility of you personally dropping 3,000 units of Ether, then you'll have to ask like, okay, how much do you really have? No one actually knows how much they have in total and how much they are going to drop into the market, right? So this one right now is really showing you the possibility that, okay, downside may not be completely done and you are still inside a channel which can push the price lower. So are they looking at the bottom? If that is true, then you are really going to look for something like this. A resistance here, the price got rejected. A support here, the price got supported. And as you came through, yeah, you got this long fake out, but the possibility is close towards this range. So yeah, you are going to observe the price being volatile in this market where we see a lot of assets due to fundamental reasons. It's not just technicals. The move in Trust Wallet token is mainly because of CZ Binance going in and tweeting about it. And you know, the price right now is 2.3 and it actually went up towards 2.7. We had this in yesterday's video. We talked about this and the breakout call, right? If you look where it really went overstretched. The measured move was like 21%, but it got stretched. So it should actually correct a little bit back down before it goes back up. Maybe 2, maybe 1.8, who knows? But if you look for the theory, you will say, okay, there is a possibility it may drop towards 1.9, 1.8 before it go back up. This is a short-term chart. So if you are in the market, it's going to be really volatile for you. So if you are looking to take profits, you need to know your exits, and that's why we drop that on a regular basis so you know when you take profits. This is the scientific investor family, where the normal retail guys learn how to become the next top 10% of the world. Yes, right now the market is so interesting. You see a lot of different stuff happening inside the market, and some of this really looks great. Because if Elon Musk is actually dropping this out in the market, a lot of people are going to look at this. Maybe politicians, maybe regulators, maybe even Gary Gensler himself. And this is going to put pressure on them. So when you look at the entire stuff which is happening right now, it looks a lot of mess, but we also see like, okay, things are changing. And this particular tweet from Raul actually gives us more thought process into current crypto market and what he expect it to be happening, right? So now you are in the market, you see crypto is slowly starting to get a little bit of bounce, a little bit of relief. And on the other side, you see the dollar trying to go back and retest this breakout. So a retest here in dollar can really slow down crypto because it does show you it broke lower. That's a great news. But short term, there is a little bit of gain for dollar because we have seen like assets like Netflix moving up like 4-5% and now slowing down because the dollar is bouncing. Now, the other way you can look at this is great. Okay, this is the previous level too. So you can get rejected somewhere close to 108 range. That is also bullish for the entire crypto market because remember, when you see a lot of stuff happening inside, follow this guy in Twitter. Either the market will be made or it will be broken. Understand that there is a lot happening inside that. So as you go through this one, I would actually give you that understanding. Okay, if they are talking on a TV show, which is like Fox, which is not a small channel, it's one of the biggest, and they say, okay, we expect it to happen tomorrow. And the way she actually talked about XRP does show like they really don't know what they're talking about because they were comparing FTX to Brad Garlinghouse holding XRP. I'm like, that's bullshit. This individual really don't understand what she's talking about. And she talked about Bitcoin as, the best asset, wow, without knowing the fact that it was designed as a peer-to-peer payments mechanism, and try using that at scale. Best of luck for trying to use that as a payment mechanism. If you have tried that before, you understand what I'm talking about. So now going back to the markets. When we look at XRP, the price, yeah, the history is there. We can have a bounce. Double bottom is usually bullish signal. But to get a confirmation for the same, we need to break through this level of 0.4. So it's not being negative, it's actually being bullish, but trying to be a little bit cautious because the market can be tricky, right? But on the pattern side of this is your previous top which we made, and if we connect this, we have an area where we are trying to break through. Being conservative, we can drop it here and say, okay, we have a resistance here at 0.38 and then at 0.39 to 0.4. So if we do manage to break through that, it's going to be a great thing to observe. Because in the market, as you go on a daily chart, it does show you like there is a strong possibility this can be a 3-candle reversal pattern, which we expected to happen before, but the FTX came in, kicked the price to the downside. So on another chart, which is a little bit zoomed in, 12-hour chart, you observe that the MACD is about to cross to the upside. RSI has already broken to the upside. The moving average here, it's crossing to the downside. When we cross to the upside, we come down. When we cross to the downside, we go up. This is what happens on the short-term basis. So don't get confused in the market fluctuation. Because if you go look at the market, the entire market and the volume, this is something which we all should keep your mind in. Say, for example, if you are looking at the Trust Wallet token, which we are talking about, look at the volume. It was 100 million and it went up to like 550 and right now it's 400. So people are taking profits. Some of them who made money 100%, they are moving out. Great. But if you look at the scenario for next 3 months, next 5 months, you should be asking big questions to yourself. Okay, let me clean this one first and then go here. If you look at this on a macro scenario, you are a long-term guy, you would say, okay, this is an ascending triangle. If you look at ascending triangle and how that plays out, this is going to be really interesting. It's a trend continuation pattern. So if this was the trend and this was the consolidation before the continuation, okay, I'm really interested. That's really looking good. Why is that? Now you broke higher with a lot of momentum and volume coming in. Great. That's a great news. Look at this. But you may really have a retest coming back down. Now, no one knows how low it can come, and the possible next support level can be close to 1.6, 1.7. That's a huge possibility. So if you are looking to buy, enter into assets, understand, don't just jump back in to buy green candles. Now, if you're making profits in one asset and you're moving out to buy another one, that's kind of okay. You have an increased purchasing power. But say when you double your position, don't take entire stuff and put it here. Take a little bit, 20, 30, 40%, and drop into another asset so that you know where you entered and how the market is reacting. So now you can dollar cost average in a way that the next leg up is going to bring you profits. So that is something which you should take a note of. Then when you're coming back into the same market, it is 2% up for the day and you are looking for the volume. Bitcoin is now like $41 billion. Ether is 11. That is not something you observe usually. When Bitcoin is like 40 billion, usually we are around 18 to 20 billion in Ether, but right now it's half. And you see that people like the Vitalik itself is selling Ether. So there is some concern over there for me. And then I'm looking at the volume for XRP. That looks strong. That really looks strong. And understand one thing, right now this news has not been out there for a long time. And even if it's not the actual stuff, people are going to see this. And then they will look through all these positive news. And within the next 24 hours, that should be priced into the market because this is speculation. Clear speculation. There will be a lot of volatility. So if you are not prepared for the volatility here in this market, it's going to really hurt your psychology. And that's why we say, yes, it's good to look at the market on short term. And yes, you can try to trade it. But if you really don't have the mental capacity to go through all this mess, you being here can really torture you because the market is like that. We see a base, we see a support, that's actually great, but it comes down to test your psychology every now and then. But if you remember, we talked about this scenario, which is really great. This is a long-term base which you're holding on to, and if you can bounce from here, it all looks good for us to go test 0.7. Now, we tried last time reaching 0.55, then the FTX guy came in. Great. The entire market was kicked back down and we don't know how long it's going to take to build back up. The only thing which can push XRP right now is some kind of huge announcement here in this event. And that's just 2 days away. If we really get to know some big central banks working, say MasterCard guy is there. So if MasterCard is actually giving you that idea, it's going to be brilliant. And then you look at another one here, which is Trust Wallet. Interesting, right? You see CC Binance talking about that again and again, and then one of them coming here in the Ripple Swell-Twt talk. So let's see what kind of announcements are going to come out. And if that happens to be a central bank, even a small one, this is reassuring that the entire ledger, the utility perspective is being adopted by the world. And this is one of the reasons why we actually see a lot of these people come in. Initially, we saw real institutions who use this as a use case to solve problems doing this stuff. Right now, you observe a lot more people getting into it because they understand it's going to be a big concern for the entire market. And that's why we're going to look at the entire altcoin market. This is the altcoin market. Great. We see that it slowed down a bit from the FTX scenario, but we also understand that this range is still holding. We are not breaking to the downside. We have a lot of different assets which broke to the downside. I think, say, assets like Algorand or others. Yeah, you actually made in a new low here. You went down. You hit the long-term trend line, which we were talking about. We hit that level and we bounced. And I'm surprised. That was just a trend line. A lot of people think trend lines don't work, but the price bounced from there. And we dropped this chart in the Patreon. So if you are looking for charts like this to know assets, their supports and worst case support scenarios and all, you can look at the Patreon. The link is given in the description below. And that being said, there is a new channel. If you are looking for success in life, talking about making money, wealth, you can look at this channel. This can be helpful. Now, this is just a new channel which we started and it can take a long time to build. And there is going to be a lot of improvements to be done. So if you have any suggestions after watching that, if you can take 5 minutes after this video, that would be really appreciated. Now, going back into the market, yes, it looks great, but we need to be realistic. Until we break the 0.4 and move higher for XRP, it's going to be a hard case scenario. And if XRP is breaking through that, we will understand definitely, okay, we are going to try and hit the 0.55 mark again. And Ether, guys, selling Ether kind of gives a bad impression for me. Maybe it's just me and it's just my opinion, right? But if you really look at this one, there is a possibility of Ether where Ether can be in trouble. Now, let me explain. Say, if we look at this price chart and say like, okay, Ether is doing something like this, that's on a daily chart. Great. You're coming back into the trend. Fine. Now you step back. You go in towards a 3-day chart. Great. Now, if you really try and connect this to the top portion here, you will actually be able to observe something like this. Now, why is that really important? For me, I really feel it's going to be important, and I want you guys to know why. If you look at this one for Ether, this does not, now this is kind of a fake out here, but if you want to include, you can still drop, but then you'll miss this. So if you're connecting through this one, it gives you a narrative of you broke higher here, but now you're trending inside this. When we go back in history, that's something really important to watch and observe. You kind of get something like this, which for me, for Ether, doesn't actually look good. You will see the same thing here. If you try and connect this top, this top, this top and extend it, you will see a lot of price points in that line. Great, but you did fake out here. So that's why I'm saying, like, when we observe that fake out here for Ether, it really worries me. Yes, you are higher. Yes, you are putting in this high, but price action there does not look really good. So if you are continuing like this in Ether, that's going to be a worst case scenario. But given the fundamentals, I wouldn't argue against it. CBDCs were one of the big projects which they were talking about, and then central banks who are trying to use this come out and say, no, this does not look good. This is not scalable. We cannot use it. So you need to have a project which is usable in the real world, and this is not good, right? So if you are inside that, you may have to consider what we just talked about. And then you can move on to various different assets. Say there are assets which were dropping, which have fundamentals. But you do look at them and say like, okay, there can be opportunities. We dropped this chart too, saying this is going to be a major support and we bounced. That's XLM. Then you can literally go look at HBAR, Quan, and a lot of different projects. And this was a support range which we were talking about as we broke through. Now, when I go look at this, yes, this range did hold. Now, why is that? It's the previous resistance zone and it's holding, it's bringing back investors. But is it sure that you're going to go back? No, right now, what we may do is a bounce, which is going to be a retest of this breakout. And if you get back up, that's good scenario for HBAR. If not, you're going to come back lower for the next leg down. So if you are looking for these supports, I recommend that you can actually look at the Patreon. The link is given in the description. So guys, if you received value for your time, please do hit that like and subscribe button. And if you have another 5 minutes, please do watch one of these videos and inform me how you felt. And there will be a lot of room for improvement. Do let me know. I'll try my level best too. That's it, guys. I'll meet you on the next video. Bye-bye.